After 6 years of marriage, Ellie and I were on the verge of realizing our dreams. We had been saving diligently since the beginning of our marriage, and now we finally had enough money for a down payment on a house. We were planning to start a family soon. My name is David Wallaz, and I work as a cybersecurity consultant, a job that allows me to work remotely without having to visit the office. If someone asked me about my marriage to Ellie, I would describe that we are deeply in love and completely dedicated to each other. We share all our secrets. We maintain a satisfactory, intimate relationship, and we enjoy such a strong connection that he feels inseparable thanks to our deep love, stable financial situation, and shared desire to have children. I was sure that our future together was bright and promising. We often watched the struggles and breakups of others, but we always felt that our love and marriage were stronger and more stable. This belief had taken root in our souls, convincing ourselves that nothing could get in the way. I was sure of that. Meanwhile, Ellie was excelling in her role as a regional manager at a national technology company, that he was experiencing a period of significant growth. However, the situation changed when a new vice president. He joined the company from the Manhattan office. Richard Jones, a confident young graduate, he exuded an air of superiority, and he enjoyed asserting his dominance over subordinates. His presence began to sow doubts in my convictions. Since his arrival 3 months ago, my wife's behavior had begun to change. He became distant, irritable, and unpleasant to communicate with. Although she attributed her behavior to work-related stress, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more, and he gave in as much as possible to be an understanding husband, keeping me patient, surprising the conflorers, organizing appointments in their favorite places, and listening carefully to their concerns. One afternoon, she shared her frustrations about her new boss, Richard. She described it as difficult and unsettling for the staff. I suggested she resign, but she explained that she had already applied for a transfer to another department. We needed your income for our new house, and she felt that it was not the right time to leave her job. And assured me that the transfer was likely due to his familiarity with the company's software and the positive reputation he had in the corporate office. His current position required him to visit other branches 3 times a month. She believed that after a few more trips, the transfer will be finalized. However, after 6 weeks and 3 trips, the move did not materialize, which led to increased stress at home. As a result, he began to treat me more like a roommate than a husband. When I expressed my concerns, he assured me that everything would get better. She noticed that Richard had begun to treat employees better, perhaps because the corporate office noticed the decline in morale and advised him to change his behavior. Despite this, he remained hopeful about the transfer. Although he made efforts to be more polite at home, his behavior towards me was still cold. She was reluctant to engage in intimacy more than twice a week, and even when we were together, it felt more like a gesture of obligation than the passionate bond we once shared. One Friday night, he came home and announced that he would be traveling to the corporate office in California for 2 nights with his supervisor, Richard Jones. She explained that the purpose of the trip was to finalize details about her transfer. At the time, I did not realize that his tension was caused by the pressure that Richard. He had been exercising on her to have an affair with him. Ellie, a stunning 28-year-old woman. He was 5'7" in height, with a slender figure, generous curves, and a face that could rival that of an angel. For the first few months after Richard joined, I didn't suspect anything unusual. However, as Richard's advances towards her became more apparent, I began to notice subtle changes in his behavior. Later, I found out that Ellie had confronted Richard, leaving her ego and subjecting her to significant stress at work. It was obvious that Richard's actions constituted a physical thing. I couldn't understand why Ellie didn't trust me enough as to report it to the HR department. Since Richard's initial tactics didn't work out, he switched to a more subtle approach, flirting, joking, praising, and promising Ellie a bright future at the company. After numerous dinners and countless conversations about their marriage and intimate life, managed to convince her to consider, at least once, be with him and reflect on the possible consequences that this could have for your future. The increasing pressure he was facing, combined with a sense of impending betrayal, it gave rise to a sinister alter ego in an attempt to rationalize his one-time act of infidelity and ease her guilt. She shifted the blame to me, portraying me as the villain in this situation. There had been no intimate snot for 2 weeks, and she ignored my advances without begging for physical intimacy. I expressed my concern about the state of our relationship. She assured me that everything would be fine soon, and he asked me to give him time to solve his work problems. Despite my love for her, I longed for the passion we once shared. Not knowing what to do next, I realized that it was necessary to change the dynamics of our relationship. I informed him that I would be waiting for his return from his trip, hoping to save our marriage. As the 7th anniversary of our marriage approached, and there were several attempts to repair our relationship and rekindle their love before she left. However, all my efforts were in vain. The day I was supposed to leave, I came home early to surprise her with a box of her favorite chocolates as a sign of love and a desire to make peace, hoping to convey how much he valued her, and I wanted our lives to get back to normal. I knew she had taken the day off to pack her things and board the plane at 3 p.m., arriving home around noon. I smiled, eager to surprise her and express my love to her. When I entered the house, I called his name, but I was met with absolute silence. The house seemed empty. In the bedroom, I noticed his name, but I was met with silence. The house seemed empty. In the bedroom, you see his suitcase on the bed and an elegant dress hanging on a coat rack. She knew how to dress elegantly and radiating confidence with his style. I had always admired the way he behaved, leaving me alone in our bedroom. I dialed his mobile number to find out where he was. His answers were brief and his greeting curt. I felt insulted and not well received. "What do you need?" She replied irritably. "Nice greeting," I said, trying to probe his mood. "I just want to know how your day is going and what you are doing. I'm going to have lunch with my sister. You know, I'm leaving for the airport at 3. Do you need anything else?" She said, surprised by his tone. "I just wish you a nice trip." And I ended the conversation without expressing the usual affection or goodbye. I wondered if I would even notice the absence of my usual warmth, feeling a mixture of resentment and anger. I sat on the bed next to his packed suitcase, trying to make sense of the situation, his words and his behavior towards me. They crossed the line, and my frustration grew. While I was there, with my face sunk into my phone, I decided I wasn't going to wait for her to come home. I started to leave the house, but a purple object in his open suitcase caught my attention. Curiosity could do more than me. When I put my hand in, I found a plastic bag, which contained a transparent purple nightgown, matching panties and a bra, in addition to a pair of nylon stockings and a belt for the stockings. All intact. This unexpected discovery was shocking, since I had never orgasmed in my wife's belongings before, realizing that she wasn't wearing that lingerie for me. In the last 2 years, I realized that I should have packed it for someone else. The pieces of the puzzle, they suddenly fell silent instead. On further checking the suitcase, I found a box of contraceptives, unopened in the side pocket. Clearly, his distant and cold behavior towards me, the lack of intimacy, and how our relationship had changed. Since she started traveling out of town with her boss 3 months ago, they made me realize that I had in my hands the proof of an infidelity. These items that I had packed for a trip, they were clearly meant for another man, probably Richard. At that time, I decided that I no longer wanted to participate in his insidious game or be his cuckold. Blushing with anger, I went to my office. I took a sheet of paper, and I wrote a short note with trembling hands. "Eli, I hope he appreciates your beautiful lingerie. It's clear because you've changed in the last few months. Obviously, you don't need my presence anymore. Rest assured that when you get home, I won't be there anymore, and we will never cross our paths again. If I had known you were going to be unfaithful, I would never have agreed to marry you. But as they say, live and learn forever. The positive in this situation, it's just that you will never have the honor of becoming the mother of my children. I'm grateful that we have postponed starting a family. Maybe Richard will help you with that. Sincerely, David." Taking a tape recorder from the drawer, I carefully fastened the note to the luxurious and delicate lingerie fabric. Then I carefully put everything back in the suitcase, making sure that no trace of my presence remained. Wanting to calm my nerves and my upset stomach, I went to the nearest restaurant to enjoy a private dinner on the day she was planning to betray me. He searched with soil when confessing to his sister Jenny during lunch. He needed a vent, and she knew Jenny would treat her with understanding, giving her a sense of comfort. At a time when she was feeling guilty and scared, I was feeling overwhelmed by stress, and I needed to express it before I got to the point of breaking down. As soon as we made the order, I decided to open up and tell him everything that bothered me. It was a relief to finally get everything out in the open, but I couldn't ignore the disappointment in Jenny's eyes, while looking at me in disbelief. "Why are you risking your marriage for this asshole?" I asked Jenny. "You've already said he's an idiot, and he's been stalking you for months. Why don't you think about resigning or filing a harassment complaint?" In an intimate tone, try to explain to him, "I got to know him better in the last month. She's going through a bad divorce. He was in a bad mood, and he unloaded it on us. But he's become very kind lately. He asked me to stay with him at least once. I don't know why, but I accepted. Well, I'll do it only once on this trip, and he promised me that we would never talk about it again. It will also help me to get a promotion in the company." Jenny's expression became more severe. "Are you going to betray David, the person you have loved since college? It's really worth risking your marriage for a possible promotion? Do you realize that he is manipulating you and becoming someone you're not?" "No, it's not like that. Protest. I just feel sorry for Richard. I know you need it. Besides, David will never know, and everything will be fixed when he returns." Before Jenny could answer, my phone vibrated. "Sorry, David is calling me. Let me answer that. Hi, what's up, David? I'm having lunch with my sister. I have to go to the airport at 3. Do you need anything else?" Asked quickly, putting the phone back in my bag. After his answer, when I look up, I couldn't help but notice the disgusted expression on Jenny's face. Turning to her, I asked angrily, "What happened?" "Ellie, you really talk to your husband like that?" Jenny exclaimed. "That was the rudest thing I've ever seen you do. What's the matter with you?" "You feel ashamed," I replied. "Do you realize how you treated him? Are you out of your mind?" Jenny shook her head. "Do you realize how you treated him? Are you crazy?" You answered and immediately asked him, "What do you need?" "Can you imagine how my husband would react? Will you talk to him like that?" And then, abruptly, you ended the conversation with, "Do you need anything else?" "No goodbye. No I love you. No I'm going to miss you." How do you think he took it? A heat of shame came over me. Oh my God, I just realized how sharply I spoke to him. I can't believe I actually said that. "Ellie," Jenny continued, "I think this matter that you are considering, it's clouding your judgment and endangering your marriage. You said that David expressed concern about your relationship, and he felt neglected. It seems that you are unconsciously sabotaging your marriage and abusing your husband to deal with the guilt." "You're absolutely right," I admitted. "I was unfair to poor David, taking my discomfort out on him. I need to fix all this and apologize to him. Do you want me to leave you alone?" I offered Jenny. "No, please stay. I need to make a call." I tried to call David, but he didn't answer. "Oh no, he's not responding. Maybe he's busy. He always answers my calls. I'm going to try again." But even after trying one more time, there was no response. "Ellie, can you send her a message for me?" Jenny gently suggested. "Oh no, he must be upset right now. I can't blame him, and I have to leave in less than 2 hours. You should apologize and pull yourself together," I urged Jenny. "I don't think continuing with your plans with Richard is a wise decision. You should end it before it causes irreparable damage. You and David have a good relationship, and they've been planning to start a family. Think about it." Tempting Jenny, I said hesitantly, "But I'm not sure I can stop him right now. It's only once, and I think my family and work life. It will get better after this. Richard is going through a difficult divorce, and he feels very depressed. He promised me that it would only happen once and that it would do him good, because I remind him of his wife." Jenny's voice was filled with disbelief. "Ellie, you do realize he's manipulating you, right? She can't be that naive." "No, you're wrong," I defended him. "He's a good guy with a heart. His wife is trying to take his children from him and ruin it with the alimony. When he confided in me about his situation, I felt his suffering and a strong connection between us. I think I should do it at least once. After all the time we spent together, have you talked about your marriage or David's feelings with him? Looking at my hands, hesitate before saying quietly, maybe I mentioned David's complaints about the lack of intimacy. Ellie, you're silly, and you should hope David doesn't find out that you shared the details of your relationship with another man. We're saying you've crossed the line, Ellie. If David finds out about this, it will be a disaster for your marriage. You don't see the chaos you're creating and what you're risking. I understand your point of view, and I agree with you. That's why it will only happen once. Now I realize how badly David treats. When I return from this trip, I will arrange everything with him. He will never know, and it won't happen again. I'm going to bury this secret deep inside of me, and I'll never talk about him again. It will be a forgotten memory. Your denial is really disturbing. Are you planning to have an affair with another man, thinking it won't have any long-term effect on you? I assure you that it will change you in your vision of your husband. There will be no positive outcome from this. Please think again. Jenny, I appreciate your concern, but I'm an adult now, and I can handle this. It's just a physical act and a one-time occurrence. David will never know, and, as they say, there's always a silver lining to this. I hope you understand the seriousness of your actions, but I urge you to think about my words. Making this decision will be a serious mistake that cannot be corrected. You will remain forever in history as an unfaithful wife, and I hope that you will be able to bear this burden. Don't worry, I'll solve the situation. In 2 weeks, you will see a happy David, when we focus on starting a family. I am deeply saddened by this turn of events, and I don't see anything good in it. As your sister, I ask you to change your mind, cancel the trip, quit your job, and apologize to David for your recent actions. David is also my friend, and if he finds out that I knew about the trip, you can cut off the friendship relationship with me. Thanks for letting me know about this, Jenny. Your concern means a lot to me. I will carefully consider your advice, but I still consider it necessary to make this trip. Before I leave this afternoon, I will talk to David and express my regret for my behavior. David's emotions during lunch. They were unusual and disturbing. Sitting at a table in a nearby restaurant, I couldn't help but think about the last few months and how my previously happy marriage had collapsed. I had to discreetly wipe away my tears to hide my vulnerability. At first, I was overwhelmed with anger, but soon my emotions turned into sadness and bitterness. When faced with the reality of my destroyed relationship, the love that I ever treasure, and the life that my wife and I had built now, it seemed far from the past. As I was reflecting on my situation, a wave of humiliation and betrayal came over me, replacing my initial emotions. I couldn't understand how she could betray me in our marriage that way. What did I do to encourage them to cheat on me? Forgiving her was out of the question. I couldn't imagine being with a woman who loved another man. My pride just wouldn't let me. I assumed my friends would urge me to forgive her and move on, but I didn't want to take that path. My IRAs turned on again as soon as the phone rang, and Ellie's number appeared on the screen. I decided to answer his calls never again. The time for talking has passed, dear. Your kind and loving husband no longer exists. You have freed the beast. Ellie flew with Richard, who bought first-class tickets for his cross-country flight, trying to win her over. But when they were on the plane, Richard noticed how upset. There was Ellie. She noticed that her husband was ignoring her calls and messages. When Richard realized that Ellie had doubts about everything that was happening, he quickly changed his attitude, adopting a supportive role and understanding to calm their worries. He offered her a drink and gently encouraged her to relax, assuring him, "Ellie's fine. I'm sure there is a reasonable explanation for this. Maybe you're busy in a meeting or you can't talk right now, but he will definitely call you. Nothing serious has happened. Everything's fine." While they were discussing their plans, Richard suggested, "When we come back from these meetings, I want you to take a few days to restore your relationship with your husband. You deserve that time," he added wistfully. "I would give anything to have a loving wife like you. It's hard for me because my situation is so complicated. My soon-to-be ex-wife won't even let me talk to my daughters. It hurts a lot." Ellie noticed the sadness in his eyes when he talked about his daughters, and she couldn't help but feel compassion for him. While they were eating, he put aside his own worries. He took her hand and offered her with Floor. At that moment, Richard saw an opportunity to use his kindness to your advantage. He put aside his own worries. He took her hand and offered her with Floor. At that moment, Richard saw an opportunity to use his kindness to your advantage. His intention was to manipulate his emotions more, before finally encouraging them to return to their husband. For Richard, it was all part of a calculated plan, a game. You found satisfaction in creating guilt, in reflection on the women, making sure they saw your relationships with a renewed commitment. While he remained distant, he even enjoyed the meetings with the husbands of those women at business events or in formal gatherings, reveling in the power. What I felt during those moments, this behavior had become intoxicating for him, feeding their need for control and dominance about the vulnerable women to whom he directed his attentions. Upon arriving at the hotel, Richard and Ellie walked hand in hand toward the reception, where he noticed something unusual. There was only one room reserved for them. As she left the counter, she turned to him confused. "I don't have a separate room," Ellie asked. "Discussed it on this trip. You and I will share a room," Richard replied with his habit. "Sharing a room?" Ellie asked. "We discussed it, Ellie," Richard replied gently. "On this trip, you and I will share a room. Let's not think about it too much. Let's enjoy this unique experience as we agreed." "I thought you said this was something unique," she hesitated. "Don't worry, Ellie. Everything will be okay. It's just a journey, not a whole life. Just for now, let's pretend we're a couple on an adventure. I promise to treat you like a queen. It will be our little secret." When they entered the room and Ellie saw the double bed, she felt invaded by guilt when thinking about sharing that intimacy with someone other than her husband. However, when the excitement of the moment engulfed her, his guilt began to fade away, feeling conflicted and overwhelmed. He went out to the balcony in the hope of finding clarity. Richard, noticing his discomfort, he discreetly packed his bags before joining her. Together, they admired the peaceful view of l'Oceano Pacifico. "Isn't it beautiful here?" she commented, knowing how much Ellie liked them. The ocean landscapes. With the tears shining in her eyes, she felt. "Yes, it's impressive." Richard gently turned his face to him, her tender and comforting touch. Looking into her eyes, he bent down to give her a gentle kiss. At first, Ellie replied, but he soon turned away with a conflicted smile. Richard saw her hesitation, but decided to bide his time. He believed that within a few hours they would get closer, and he would achieve his goal. "I knew I was betraying her trust and exploiting her vulnerabilities, but he felt a perverse satisfaction as he smiled back at her. "It's going to be a wonderful night, Ellie. We have dinner in a few hours, so take your time to refresh yourself and do some exercise at the gym, and we'll be back in time to get ready," he informed her. She just nodded in response, silently watching as Richard. He would pack up his gym clothes and leave the room. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he felt a strong need to talk to David, to make sure everything was okay. Realizing how badly she had treated him, he wanted to apologize and take care of his well-being. Her love for him was evident, and she was waiting for the end of the journey, so that they could return to their harmonious lives. With a sinking heart, he dialed his mobile phone number, waiting for him to answer and assure her of his love. But his hopes were not fulfilled. He did not answer. Realizing that he was upset after his previous conversation, decided to contact him by text message, hoping to resolve the situation. "David, my love, I apologize to you with all my heart because of my behavior on the phone today. I had a difficult morning, and unfortunately, I downloaded it with you. Please forgive me, and I promise to make amends as soon as I get home. I miss you terribly, and I want you to know that I love you. I'm looking forward to this weekend, to start our family. Please call me. I really need to hear your voice." After sending the message, he took a deep breath and got under the comforting stream of a hot shower. After getting out of the shower, she anxiously looked at herself in the full-length mirror, anticipating how she would look with the new outfit she had bought. After spending the next half hour carefully applying her makeup and doing her hair, she was satisfied with the amazing result, especially admiring him beautiful that his hair fell over his back. Absorbed in the moment, For a moment, she forgot the message she had sent to David, and she concentrated on putting on the new outfit and seeing how attractive she looked. While he was admiring himself, thoughts of David came back to his mind, and she imagined wearing the same outfit for him later that night. While Richard was working out in the simulator, and pulled out of her bag a short black cocktail dress, the daring ensemble, bought especially for your trip. She realized her beautiful breasts thanks to her pronounced cleavage. That night she decided not to put on a bra, opting for a look bold. The short skirt revealed her long legs, which were accentuated by the new high heels that I had bought especially for the occasion. Stopped for a few moments to admire the stunning dress. Then she opened the lingerie drawer. Precision chose the lingerie she was going to wear that night for Richard, and he placed her carefully on the bed. She gently unbuttoned her black stockings and slid them down her long, soft legs. She put on her dress, adjusted it in place, and then she put on her Vassler high heels, adjusting the dress to make sure that her big, rounded breasts were covered with pleasure. She went to the full-length mirror to admire the final version of her ensemble. She stared in surprise at the stunning woman reflected in the mirror. A satisfied smile appeared on his lips, while admiring his own attractiveness, and she imagined her husband's reaction when he saw her later. Looking at his watch, he realized that Richard would be returning to the room soon, and decided to tidy up the place. She carefully packed the seductive lingerie that I had chosen for the evening, to be able to change quickly before your arrival. When they came back from dinner, while picking up, he noticed that the Victoria's Secret box, it was already open and slightly crooked. By inspecting as closely as possible, she saw a piece of paper stuck to the lingerie. This strange phenomenon caused him bewilderment and curiosity. Carefully removing the delicate items, she found a handwritten note attached to the expensive lingerie. Still confused, she gave him the note and immediately felt a wave of fear invade her. Freezing in place, the message stopped his heart, and the whole world collapsed in sadness. The seriousness of her actions struck her, and he just stared at the message, stunned and motionless. Tears ran down her face as she fell to her knees, hugging his head in desperation. She lay down on the carpet, sobbing uncontrollably, experiencing deep and incomprehensible pain and sadness. In a state of total panic, he called David's number, and he left a shaky voice message. "David, I received your note, but nothing happened. I swear I love you, and it was just a stupid mistake. Please forgive me and call me back. I need to talk to you, honey. Trust me, nothing happened." While I was waiting for your reply, he sent a lot of long messages, and not being able to stay still, he started rocking back and forth in the huge armchair next to the bed. When Richard came into the room, he immediately noticed the chaos, like a train wreck that was about to upset his plans. "What's the matter, dear?" Richard asked. He answered sharply, refusing the affectionate treatment. "Don't call me that. I'm not your sweetheart. And because of you, I just ruined my marriage with a man I love." His words, and they hit Richard like a brick, but he tried not to show it. And calm down. "What are you talking about?" he told her. And pointed to the note on the bed. And when Richard told her a smile appeared on his face. He felt a surge of satisfaction, realizing that once again, she had cheated on her husband, ruined his marriage, and forced him and become part of his plan. It all started in his childhood, when his father abandoned his mother for another woman, an experience that affected him deeply, distorting their consciousness in the most destructive way. She didn't care if he slept with her. "I thought I had already got what I wanted, and the fact that I had her now, it would be just an added bonus. I let you cry until you calmed down, and then I would convince her that, since her husband was suspicious of her intimacy with him, they could pull it off and have fun. Even though I knew it wouldn't be easy, he had a talent for this kind of thing, and his previous encounters with cheating wives, they gave him confidence. But he no longer wanted to play along. Defiantly, she took off her heels, and she took off her dress right in front of Richard, ignoring his presence. He felt that she was going to take his initiative and get what I wanted, standing completely naked in front of him. His body tensed up in anticipation when he saw her impressive figure. When she got up, She was waiting for him and approach him by herself. But instead of obeying, he burst into prison. You must be completely crazy, and you think I'm going to touch you again sometime. I need to go home and fix what you've done, she said. Richard, realizing that he would not achieve what he wanted, he colored up and in a tone that surprised him and said, "This is the fault, stupid woman. You accepted this," he said sharply. "You made the decision to leave your husband and enter into a physical relationship with me. I didn't push you, it was your choice. Your outfit today seems to hint at an invitation to intimacy. If you really loved your husband, you wouldn't agree to spend the weekend with me. How dare you talk to me like that? Are you disrespectful and I don't want to know anything about you? Have you damaged my marriage and I don't know how to reconcile with David or earn his forgiveness? If I had done that, I would have left him and turned his life into a nightmare. He despised you and your actions." Enraged, Richard whispered, "This is my fault, right? Does that kiss you started an hour ago speak for itself? You enjoyed it and wanted more. You wanted me to sleep with you and turn the world around. Admit it and stop falsely accusing me of wanting to cheat on the man you claim to love. I'll never believe that you really loved him, and you committed adultery voluntarily. You're like everyone else looking for excitement on the outside, just to avoid being found out. And when they discover you, you made the fault to the one who seduced you. Well, princess, if you really loved your husband, you wouldn't let me seduce you, taking you on a trip all over the country, and accept a night of passion. You didn't even hesitate to share a room and a bed with me. It is obvious that your love for your husband is questionable. I can't imagine what you would do if you didn't care. Cream, he would be happy to know that you are unfaithful, and you can't be trusted before starting a family." His words broke her spirit. She admitted that she was right, and that he had chosen his own path. She blamed him for everything. But at the same time, I knew he could have refused at any time. Even her sister had warned her. But she decided to betray her husband with Richard. At the time, I didn't know what hurt him the most. I realized that Richard, he had correctly assessed his actions. Or feeling a great sense of guilt, he quickly packed his things and rushed to the lobby to get help. With the advice desperate to meet her husband, she was hoping the council would help her find a way to return home. I knew I needed to get back to David, express his love to her, and assure her that nothing terrible. It had happened. However, after a telephone conversation, 20 minutes without conclusion, he found out that all the return flights for that night, they were already fully booked. Unable to leave San Diego until the next morning, I was planning to take a flight home and arrive around 6 in the afternoon. Realizing that it was already late to take any other action, he asked for help. Then he realized that he didn't have where to spend the night. The council, noticing his distress, he offered to help her find a room. He was informed that the room was available, and if he provided a credit card, I could get the key in a few minutes. While handing over the credit card, he thought about the moments that David, he had mentioned in his note. She realized that she had been inconsiderate and distant with her husband, allowing the guilt to manifest in the form of going to and stress towards him. A feeling of discomfort, it invaded her when she noticed the counselor's expression. "The 100, Mr. Aguilas. But your card has been canceled. Do you have another form of payment?" Did Shokita respond? "No. This can't be happening. Here, please, I tried to use this card," he said, realizing that David, he had canceled their joint cards. After the other two failed, he felt a growing panic. While I was trying to think of the next step, back to Richard's room, it was out of the question, so he resigned himself to staying up all night, waiting for the morning. Finding no other way out, he reluctantly overcame his pride, and he called his sister. "Hey, everything? Sorry to bother you. Is everything all right, sister? What happened?" Ellis's voice broke as he poured out his heart to Jenny, confessing, "I should have listened to you, but I didn't. David found out about my plans and left a note in her purse in which he wrote that he had abandoned me. Now I'm in a difficult situation, and I'm trying to get back home, and I'm not going to say, 'I told you.' That would be rude. I don't know what to do now. David is not answering my calls or messages, and it looks like he canceled our credit cards. As a result, I can't rent a hotel room. Could you provide me with your credit card information to cover the cost of the room, and I'll give you the money back when I get back. Ellie, you're supposed to be the smartest one in the family. but you haven't made the best decisions lately. I'll help you this time." An hour later, Ellie called her sister again. "Jenny, thanks for helping your stupid sister. I managed to find a room for the night, and I'll fly home on the morning flight. Do you think you will forgive me?" Jenny replied, "No, sister. Have you heard anything from him?" Ellie sighed. "No, but I left him some messages, and I assured him that nothing had happened." Jenny wished him luck, but added, "The fact that he found out about your plans, and it hasn't been looking good anyway. If you want to come back, keep contacting him and asking for forgiveness." The nightmare came true. Ellie didn't know if she had slept with Richard or not, but his intentions were clear, and that was all he needed to know. Despite her declarations of love for him, he had decided to pursue another man, with the intention of entering into an intimate relationship with him. "I couldn't imagine how I could build a future or stay married to her." In response, he turned off his phone. He packed his things, and the next day, he left for Austin, Texas, where numerous job opportunities awaited him. She updated her relationship status on Facebook to single and attached a picture of the couple that he created with artificial intelligence, using his photos found on the internet. The signature said, "Ellie's new love, Richard Jones." After Ellie left with that man, she filed for divorce, and he considered his marriage over. When he returned to the site an hour later, was surprised to see a lot of comments from friends, expressing his astonishment at his situation. Some women even expressed their sympathy and support, suggesting that I contact them if I needed someone to talk to. Surprisingly, after several months of feeling unnecessary, suddenly he felt a glimmer of hope, and he realized that his life, she was not ruined by her husband's infidelity. After a little research, he found out that Richard wasn't really going through because of a divorce and that he sincerely loved his family. Instead, he enjoyed manipulating and seducing unsuspecting women, enjoying the power I felt by turning their partners into cuckolds. To this egoist, it was an insane pleasure. His addiction was to control these women and their husbands. Ellis was surprised to find out that Richard had been unfaithful to her on every level. He made sure that his wife, to discover his affair and his courtship of other women. In the workplace, Richard's life was about to change. "Mr. Wills, where's your client?" David was due to appear in court the day of the divorce hearing. The judge got angry when he didn't come and asked, "Where is he?" The lawyer replied, "I don't know where David is, but I'm sure it will come soon." In response, the judge adjourned the hearing for 15 minutes and warned that if David did not show up, would be held in contempt. Joshua Wills, David's lawyer. She tried to contact him on his cell phone, and he found out that David would not be able to attend the required hearing since he was stuck in traffic, David said. When the judge returned, Joshua stood up, and she addressed him. "Your Honor, my client is stuck in traffic, and he's doing his best to arrive as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I have other commitments today." The judge replied, "Your client is in contempt, and fined him $1,000. After reviewing the case file, I also need 3 consultations before the next court date, which will take place within 60 days. I ask you to warn your client that the non-compliance with the consultations or his failure to appear in court could result in a prison sentence of 30 days and an additional fine. Do you recognize and understand my decision today?" "Yes, His Lordship," replied Joshua. He scolded David, urging him to comply with the judge's decision, despite having initially rejected mandatory consultations. David finally agreed, in the hope that this would speed up the divorce process. The day of consultations has arrived. I haven't seen David since he made the unfortunate decision to favor Richard. When she approached him with open arms, she was greeted with a cold rejection and a total disregard. Having recovered after crying, the consultant restarted the session. He expressed his love for David and apologized for not having understood the consequences of their actions, confessed that she had not slept with him, and he left as soon as he realized of what was happening. With tears in his eyes, he asked for forgiveness. When it was his turn to speak, David said, "Doctor, I want to clarify that in order for these sessions are beneficial, we both need to be completely honest with each other. Is that so? Yes, David. They both agreed to be completely honest with each other. Is that so? Yes, David. The doctor replied. They both agreed to be extremely honest. During these informal sessions, it is very important that both of you speak freely and with sincerity. Thank you, doctor, David said, when he turned to Ellie, and he looked into her eyes for the first time. Since his return from the trip, he felt his heart begin to beat strongly. Resentment and suffering, they lit up in him again. It's hard for me, Ellie, and I hope it's Anesta. Are you saying that nothing happened between you and Richard? Nothing happened between us. Ellie replied, I have to understand and forgive your actions, right? The tears welled up from her eyes, while smiling and assuring him. Yes, David. Nothing really happened. When I received your note, I immediately realized my mistake, and I hurried back home with you. I see where you're going, Ellie. I know you well, and I know you're not the type to cheat. David replied, She's never been one of those women who cheat, or they behave inappropriately. Of course not, Ellie confirmed. I'm not like that, and you know it. She held out her hand to David, but he didn't take her, leaving her hanging in the air, until she withdrew it. I know you're not like that, Ellie. I know that he only shares fearlessly with those with whom you have a sincere connection. He said, I know she had feelings for Richard. I am correct. Faced with the option of confessing their feelings, or to be known as a libertine, she admitted with reluctance. Well, yes, I didn't love him. I only loved you. Yes, I loved you too, Ellie, David replied. But what worries me is that it all seems like a romance. Have you ever spent time with him outside of work? Did you go for lunch or drinks together? Sure, we work together, Ellie said. That explains everything. So, he took that as a yes. Now be honest with me, Ellie. Did you ever hold hands with him while walking? Ellie avoided looking into his eyes, whispering, Yes. I didn't hear right. Were you taken by the hands? Yes, she admitted. But I didn't love him. I know you didn't love him. David replied. Tell me, have you ever kissed him passionately? Only once, I swear, she confessed. David didn't understand what had happened, but all his emotions, pain, anger, resentment, and humiliation poured out in the form of the Ugrimas. His confession unleashed a flood of emotions, which David had been suppressing. The tears rolled down her face, something Ellie didn't expect there to be from a normally stoic man. When the tears had subsided, David pulled himself together, and he asked the last question without taking his eyes off her. Ellie, if I hadn't sent that note along with the underwear, destined for your lover, would everything have been different? Did you think about sleeping with him that night? She hesitated to answer, feeling uncomfortable looking at her tears. After a brief pause, the doctor turned to Ellie. Ellie, it is very important that we address this now. You are in a safe place, and you don't have to hide anything. Please respond to David's request. David, with a broken voice, said, Ellie, I love you and I would never hurt you. But if you hadn't intervened with that note, I would have made a terrible mistake and slept with him. You saved me, and I will always be grateful to you for that. Honey, we have to stick together, David added with tears in his eyes, looking at the doctor. Dave explained, David, that's why I can't continue with this marriage. She had every intention of being unfaithful. The act itself doesn't matter to me. Intentions are crucial. If I was willing to do it once, I'm afraid I'll do it again in the future, and I can't live with that kind of uncertainty for years to come. I will never forget her desire to be with someone other than me, someone I really wanted to be with. I often wondered if I still had those feelings, or if he had already gone ahead when he boarded the plane. It became clear that he had made his decision much earlier. For the next 3 weeks, David went through the necessary consultations, and 3 months later their divorce was formalized, despite the constant calls and requests to cancel the divorce and give her another chance. His father, his sister, and their mutual friends, they stood firm in their opinion. Everyone told him flatly that he was making a stupid decision, especially since she hadn't had a physical relationship with Richard. David tried to express his emotions, but everyone believed that he should forget about his mistake and work to restore their marriage. In her opinion, she still loved him, and he was just showing immaturity by not accepting her back. They urged him to act like a responsible adult and bring her back into his life, delighted that his own ego was interfering with their reconciliation. He flatly told them never to speak to him again. After that, he started working on contracts all over the country and left the city without looking back. Despite Ellie's insistent pleas, so that I could forgive him, he finally had to block her number to put an end to the constant calls. I thought that eventually she would leave, and I would find someone else, but I hoped he would have learned from his experience and be faithful in a future relationship. Almost a year had passed since that tragic day, but the memories of his marriage wouldn't let him. Working all over the country, he cut off his connection to the home. But that's when he decided to act and take revenge. Before you go, set up a remote connection to your home internet, which allowed him to access Ellie's computer. Knew about his habit of getting into the company's UPN when returning from work to send reports. He was ready to implement his plan. After she finished her work, he closed the laptop with indifference, thinking the system was turned off, taking advantage of the opportunity provided by the lack of measures. Security on your device. He got remote access to his laptop, although it was connected to the company's internal network. Through a VPN, he had not implemented the proper security protocols. It's always nice when the support staff prefer convenience over safety, though he shouldn't complain about the easy money that he was winning this way. He realized that he had been distracted. After opening your email, he sent Richard a message with a hidden root kid on a link that I knew Richard couldn't help but open. The letter was from Ellie. He asked her to follow the link and leave a review about her appearance. Once caught, Richard clicked on the link, activating without knowing it a malware that quickly spread to all servers to which he had access. Meanwhile, he just received an error message, waiting for further instructions. After several attempts to follow the link, finally realized it wasn't working, and he decided to ask Ellie about it the next day. As expected, he clicked on the link, giving you access to the company's most confidential information. Quickly removed all traces of Ellie's involvement in that email, and he deleted the remote access logs on his laptop. After the investigation, no link letter or evidence of hacking was found. The OT team was expected to ignore this incident, and he will focus on more important issues. After a week of waiting, he finally started acting. Using a VPN and several remote servers in 8 countries, he successfully penetrated the main server of Richard's company. He installed several programs to help him cope with the task, and within a few hours he had access to important files, downloaded crucial documents, as the company's financial statements, outstanding information of employees, engineering data, and patent applications. These patents could generate millions of dollars in revenue for the company. He decided to play a prank on Richard by registering it on various adult websites, some of them on the deep, dark web. Using your work computer, he was able to register it using his credit card and bank details without him knowing. After installing a program on Richard's computer, redirected all messages from those sites to a hidden file that only he had access to. It was surprisingly easy for him, manipulating Richard's online presence, and used the company's resources without revealing their identity. He saved numerous images, compromised videos, corporate schemes, and confidential engineering documents in a secret archive. This was the beginning of his plan to sabotage Richard, sending confidential information to your competitors. Using the company's mailbox, asked about the payments that needed to be transferred to Richard's account. After that, he deleted the emails sent in the usual way. Richard was hired, more for his knowledge of finance than for his technical skills. As a beginner, he mistakenly believed, "What to delete emails and files. I would erase all evidence." But any thorough investigation, he would have easily revealed the truth. Taking matters into their own hands, he started sending incriminating videos from Richard's computer to places under FBI surveillance. More than 100 images were sent in just 1 week. What happened caught the attention of the FBI. He instructed one of his employees for him to plant a USB stick with numerous compromising images at Richard's apartment, successfully installed the device. Within 2 days of the assignment, it was all part of my carefully aborted plan. During the entire operation, take precautions using a VPN, multiple remote servers, and my skills in cybersecurity to make sure there were no traces left. that they could lead to me. 10 days later, Richard was at a meeting with the president of the company when a group of 6 FBI agents rumpled in his office. Filling the room, they shouted with guns in their hands, "FBI, nobody move." The scene was unreal, and all the office staff, he was paralyzed by fear, watching the chaotic scene, unable to speak or move. The officers announced that they had an arrest warrant for Richard Jones and permission to access the company's servers, alleging knowledge of federal crimes. The president gave him a look, from expectiva to Richard, and then he escorted 2 FBI agents to the Information Technology Department. Ignoring the president's protests, the FBI confiscated the servers and company data, which led to its total closure. As soon as the news of the situation spread, competitors joined the case, and they started contacting customers with my help. Richard's actions, it led to the collapse of the company, as a result of which he was fired and received a lawsuit from the company. Richard's federal case, it attracted a lot of media attention. The company I was working for, he was in serious financial difficulties, and it was not clear if it could withstand the storm caused. Because of Richard's actions, the scandal tarnished the company's reputation, and it led to Richard becoming a peer and a national. As a result, he was convicted on numerous charges, including possession of prohibited materials, telephone fraud, corporate espionage, robbery of a federal structure, and extortion. He was sentenced to 25 years in prison, with a minimum term of 20 years for good behavior. His wife filed for divorce, and the children cut off the relationship with him forever. She lost everything by meeting the wrong person. In addition, he became a victim when the news of her affair with Richard leaked, and it spread across several national news platforms. Somehow, the sites were hacked. The scandal lasted for more than a week, causing great damage to his reputation. Valentine's Day, a scandal broke out in the newspapers related to his wife's infidelity and his relationship with Richard Jones, nicknamed Hacker in the articles after his arrest. The day of love took a dark turn for Ellie. Your personal information, including your photo, address, place of work, and details of the divorce, it spread all over the net. Wherever I was going, Ellie was greeted with harsh comments and judgmental looks. As a result of the public outcry, he lost his job, becoming famous for her connection with an infamous man. Happy Valentine's Day, Ellie. The prospects for his future career were bleak, and she found herself surrounded by unfavorable characters. Interestingly, karma was able to balance the situation. This is the end of my story. Subscribe to not miss more videos like this. And remember, history is a chance to become a better person, and see you soon.